The power company hired 3 new workers to install power poles. One was an older man, mostly bald. Another was a young guy with a freshly shaved head. The third was middle-aged with blonde hair. At the end of the day, the supervisor came around to check their progress. "How many poles did you guys get planted?" he asked. The bald man said, 7. The shaved head guy said, 8. The blonde man said, 1. The supervisor frowned. "Wait a minute. They planted 7 and 8 poles and you only managed 1? What happened?" The blonde shrugged and said, "Maybe, but take a look at how much they left sticking out of the ground." A man went on a date with a blind woman, and things were going surprisingly well. She had a sharp wit and a great sense of humor, and the two of them were really hitting it off. As the evening went on, she leaned closer and said with a teasing smile, "Why don't we go back to my place for a little fun?" He agreed, but as they headed out, he felt he should be upfront about something. "I should probably warn you," he said. "My equipment is only 3 inches long." She frowned slightly, and he could sense her disappointment. Thinking fast, he flashed a grin and added, "But it smells like a foot." 2 prostitutes were driving around town with a sign on top of their car that read, "2 prostitutes, $50. A police officer pulled them over and said, "You'll have to take that sign down, or I'll have to take you to jail." Just then, another car drove by with a sign that said, "Jesus saves." One of the women pointed at it and asked, "How come you don't stop them?" The officer smiled and said, "That's different. There's signs about religion." The 2 women frowned, took down their sign, and drove off. The next day, the same officer saw them cruising around again, this time with a new sign that read, "2 angels seeking Peter, $50. Everyone at the wedding ceremony watched in admiration as the radiant bride walked down the aisle, arm in arm with her proud father. When they reached the altar, she kissed him lovingly and placed something discreetly in his hand before turning to face her groom. The guests exchanged curious glances. What had she given him? The air was thick with anticipation as all eyes turned to the father, waiting for him to reveal the mystery. Sensing the suspense, he smiled and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, today is the luckiest day of my life." Then he lifted his hand to show what his daughter had given him and added, "My daughter has finally returned my credit card." The entire room erupted in laughter. Even the priest couldn't help but chuckle. Everyone, that is, except the poor groom.